All right, good day, boys. How you doing?
Good mate, how are you?
The same kind of people. Listen, I thought that we had to do another one this week, even though we've already done two, because I think that from our podcast, it's now coming across evident that we the only three guys that can really express things with common sense. It seems to me that from the feedback we're getting, that we look at issues very clearly in an objective manner. Maybe sometimes with our own spin, but that's life. Everybody does it. That's why everything is subjective. People are liking what we do and the way we look at the issues. It seems to me like whatever predictions we've been doing in our first coronavirus podcast and the second one, it seems to be accurate. That stage one was shit. We'll never make it. Never do even a dent in the contagion. I believe now that the stage two is in. My belief is stage two is another shit. It won't happen. Stage three won't happen. Stage four won't happen. So why don't we just talk a little bit about this? Because we need more common sense.
Well, common sense would suggest that if you put a measure in for one day and then expect it to see a difference, that's not going to happen. The fact that they even bothered with stage one, which you were pretty adamant about last time we spoke, CL, beggars belief, and now they've given stage, even though they did it anyway, and then they gave it 24 hours and decided, no, that doesn't work. So we're now at stage two. I think there's going to have to be stage 2.2, 2.3, 2.4 because stage two was pretty half-assed as well. I guess we'll get into that in a little bit, but it's still, you can't go to a funeral, but you can get on a bus. I'm so still bloody confused.
Yeah.
So lovely, mate. I've made my peace with it now, so I'm enjoying the ride.
Listen, I think before I go any further, our sound's not so good, but that's mainly because we're trying the self-isolation or the distancing rule. So we three of us sipping our wine away from each other. I just want to remind people, the two of you on the phone, okay?
Yeah. And Danola's never looked better.
You're a dick.
Mate, I could go all day.
Oh, God. Are these measures sort of, we need the government to sort of step up and rip that. How do you rip the Band-Aid off all in one go? Because it seems like they're just doing it slowly and it's hurting put more people for a longer period.
They're following the same model too. I mean, there was talk of stage two coming out halfway through yesterday, but again, no talk of what that meant. So again, I found myself sitting on the couch at 8 o'clock or whatever time he came on, 9 o'clock, not knowing whether I was about to get shut down or not.
Yeah.
I knew stage two was coming. I think that was pretty evident. But again, no one knew what stage two meant. You know, when it came out, us three weren't mentioned as being shut down. Again, there was the same sense of relief. But then there was again, why did they put us through another day of wondering? It was nowhere near as bad as the Sunday beforehand when they tried to kill us all.
Yeah.
Heart attack. There's still the way they're going about this. They didn't learn. We were hoping they'd learn from the Sunday and maybe they didn't cop enough backlash or maybe they didn't listen to us. They didn't listen to the podcast, but they did it to a lesser extent, but still with the same sort of effect. I mean, I didn't panic anywhere near as much yesterday when they said stage two was coming in, but there was still no clarity, no certainty, no anything around what that was going to mean. So disappointing to hear when they did say last night, halfway through it, they said, now these are the measures, but we haven't finished our meeting yet and there'll be more tomorrow. Only for him to come out this morning and say, oh, no, we won't be making another announcement today because we made them all last night. I mean, he's doing his best, the big fella, but we've got to get whoever's helping him. He'd probably blame whoever's helping him, CL, I reckon.
Listen, I think that this thing has been spread like a Netflix kind of seasons. It's season 1, episode 1. Yeah, we're having episode 2 and it's going to keep on going, mate. So it looks to me like it's that virus that we're getting. Let's talk about the consequences of stage 1. What do you boys reckon?
Consequences of stage 1, a lot of unemployed people for no apparent reason, causing a lot of hurt, causing a lot of worry, but at the same time, got everyone absolutely scratching their heads in disbelief at the contradictions that are inside it.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but it's more of the same, I think.
I think the measures what they're trying to implement aren't enough or fast enough. I heard somewhere the other day that, or just it might have been today, that the premiers are wanting to do it harder and faster rather than slower, just to try to curve that, what do they call it, curve the spike.
Yeah.
Everyone's into different types of things, Chris. Hard and fast, slow and steady, mate. As long as you get there.
we shut it down quicker, did you pull the Band-Aid off faster and get everyone into lockdown straight away? Then the question is it going to solve the situation?
No, that's what we spoke about though, mate. We see Ellen and I are at least on the same page that lockdown isn't the answer.
No.
We can't say we've been proven right though, guys, because
No,
again,
we are going to be proven right, and this is the thing.
Yeah, they work. Like,
we have already proven them wrong in a few things. The only thing that I see from stage one is that on the one hand, we stand in front of the camera saying things like we appreciate the pain, we're hurting for those people who've lost their job. But then after that line, we say we're going to cut off more jobs. And so I think that the stage one, that what I saw is a lot of lives have been destroyed. I mean, do you imagine people who came to this country for, like Federico, who runs Lumi restaurant, for example? He had dreams. He built things. He worked hard. Man, he took a huge gamble by putting his Lumi restaurant right at the nicest spot in front of the Star Casino. And then it's just removed like that. Just removed from him. The dream, the hardship, the sacrifice, all of that means nothing. And I think that not only that is disgusting, but also I believe that people are feeling degraded somewhat. They have to queue up for hours. And the only thing the government could find is we told them not to turn up, that they should go online. But the old freaking online just exploded. Right. It did not even work. And then afterwards, I hear shit like, we had so many people online. I mean, we've never seen anything like this happen. It's not true, because when the GFC happened, the same thing happened. It's as if we are not even learning or keeping a tab of previous incidents. I mean, if I was to run my company and every time there was something happening and I did not make a note of that and then make changes or amendments in the way that I operate, I'd be broke. Here, the government just go about things, and I'm really feeling the pain for them. But then, as of midnight tomorrow, we're going to do this. And here you go, some more. It's as if they're getting points, man. I don't know. Is it Mario kind of game or what?
Yeah.
Are we looking to the wrong?
Sorry, Chris, you go.
Are we looking to the wrong people for the answer? I mean, we're the ones that put them in power. It just seems to me it's guesswork. At the moment, all they're coming up with guesswork, and they're copying other countries that really also don't have the answer.
Yeah.
We're basing.
I know. I think that's the biggest problem.
We're basing our strategies on 200 countries that have had zero success. Look, everyone's still got it. Everyone's numbers are still growing, and we're using, they did it, so we'll do it. I think, though, in some ways, we were very worried when we left our conversation the other day, boys, I was and Chris, that we were going to copy New Zealand. You know, the pressure to do the same as New Zealand was going to be too much. And in a lot of ways, with what the Prime Minister said last night, they're not taking it as flippantly cutting people's jobs off, but the next minute they cut people's jobs off. So they're sort of hedging their bets. They're trying to stand out to the rest of the world almost on ego. Oh, hang on, we're not going to be as panicky as you guys. How cool are we? But then they still go and get 200,000 people sacked. So I don't think they really know where they're at. But that fits into the whole narrative because no one knows where they're at.
Yeah, but
people are freaking out because Donald Trump's about to start talking about easing lockdowns and that might be the end of the world. They don't know if that's the end of the world because they don't know if lockdown's going to fix anything. Like he might be right. But who? We're still in a situation where no one knows. So we're still got to be of the common sense would suggest do not destroy everyone's lives on a what if, which is what we've been doing and is what we've been harping on about for a little while now.
It's one thing to try to flatten the curve, but it's one thing trying not to lose life. But I don't think that we're really realizing that over the last two stages, we actually have devastated many, many more 100,000s of lives than we should have. And one of the things that I was thinking about this morning is it's as if the bushfire is coming towards your house. So in order to safeguard it, you start burning your house yourself.
I like that. I really like that.
It's just crazy, mate, because when I sit down at the end of stage one, those people who had to queue, who have been degraded, who have been almost driven to a state where they are a nobody. Some of them have never queued up at the Centrelink. Some of them apparently even slept in front of Centrelink. This is the question they're going to ask. Yeah. For what? Can we truly look at them and tell them that it was worth it? Because right now, I'm looking at it, I'm going, it wasn't. And
then we have another. Yeah.
And I believe after stage 3 and 4, it's still not going to be worth it. So are we really wasting dreams because we're simply being reactive?
We do all that stuff, mate, destroy all those people, and then the next person to die is someone who got off a cruise ship that should never have been allowed into the bloody city.
Yeah.
But
let's talk about that cruise ship, for example, right? Did you know that out of the number of cases of infections we have right now, that half actually comes from overseas travelers?
Yeah.
The thing that we have to ask is, how the hell did they allow people from, let's imagine, the Ruby Princess cruise ship to disembark? And they said that they actually tested a few people. And apparently, they did not test the people who didn't show symptoms. But yet, before even stage 1 came in, they knew that 86% of the people who've got COVID-19 are actually asymptomatic. They show no symptom. So why would I go and just test the guy that shows symptom when 86% of the guys on the boat don't show any symptom? I mean, the ones who are affected, which means you take 10 guys who are affected, you'll find one that is sniffing, having fever, and the other nine show nothing. But yet, based on that knowledge, we still don't test everyone, right?
Yeah, there's something very, very fishy, pardon the pun, going on with that boat, because they came in the middle, they let everyone off in the middle of the night under the cover of darkness. They knew they were doing something very, very wrong when everyone got off that boat. And that's what the states and the federal government are fighting about now. But the more I hear about it, it seems like it was definitely a state fuck-up. I only caught the arse end of a thing last night that said someone who's infected with coronavirus will average infecting 2.5 other people. So if you take the 700 people that were on that boat, there's nearly 2,000 people they're going to infect just themselves off that one fucking thing. So,
well, that's if you believe the 2.5, okay? Because I'm one, Chris is one. Do we count you as half?
Well, if I keep working out the way I am, I soon will be.
Listen, mate, if anything,
if
one person infected, I think that one person who's infected is going to at least do 25. So forget 2.5, right?
Those people that got off the boat, they got straight into public transport and coaches and buses and taxis and Ubers to get their asses home. They're straight off that boat, straight into transport. Not only that, what about people getting off a plane, getting on into trying to get home, self-quarantine? As of 3 days ago, they were catching public transport.
Yeah. And also overseas travelers, why aren't they shutting down all the incoming airplanes?
Well, they have now, haven't they? Banned it last
No,
night.
they haven't. They have banned outgoing. Who gives a shit the people who've got COVID-19 to go overseas?
Yeah, leave. Get out.
Get out. Get on the same plane. Straight from your boat. Go on the plane. But there's thousands of people right now. Going through our airport. You tell me, boys. This doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, none of it makes sense. How long are we going to be saying, though, guys? I mean, it gives us some content, but how long are we going to be saying this doesn't make sense for? Because every step they take hasn't made sense yet. You can get your hair cut now,
no.
You can't get nails done.
No.
See how they heard you blowing up about the bloody nail technician, mate. Now, see what you've done. And when you said, I don't look at hairdressers because I'm bald, hairdressers are still out cut hair, but nail technicians are done, mate. You need to be really careful what you say.
Yeah, but the hairdressing now, it's only 30 minutes now, the hairdressing salons, which is good because it only takes me half a minute.
There's going to be a lot of ladies walking around with short back and sides, mate.
Oh, here we go. It's
or there's a lot of ladies that'll get found out because I know when my wife books a haircut, she's gone for 6 hours, so we'll see what's real.
Listen. I really feel for the Prime Minister, right? I think that yesterday he was trying his best again. I think he confused a lot of other people, but he was trying his best again. He lost me a little bit when he said, we are here committed to getting everyone across to the other side. I don't know. I haven't seen too many government very good at creating jobs and showing how to build it on the other side, especially when you have savaged and devastated everything on this side of the world. I think that the government needs to really sit down and have a look. What are we really doing? Because yesterday, what I heard is our Prime Minister saying, with the virus, it's about two things: the health side, so which is the physical, the mental side of health, but it's also the economic side. I don't know if the economic side is really something that they have attended to. I think if there's anything, they are just scared. They running the entire program based on academics and doctors whose only priority is flatten the curve. You know, flatten what
and
curve?
we'll still get paid.
Flatten what curve, mate? Yes, we're going up a little bit more, but you know, out of the 8 deaths that we have, 1 is from the ship. We're doing not such a bad job. But now it's going to be very hard for us even to contain it, because while every one of us is pointing the finger at Generation Z or the millennials and saying that they're selfish for what they've done in Bondi Beach and all these rules that they're breaking and still having partying in pubs, mate, while we're trying to reason with them, we actually, at night, first thing in the morning, or all day during the day, we allowing travelers from overseas, like walking around off the boat and off the plane like they live hand grenades. This is so wrong, man. This is so wrong. You know, half of me, I'm a very much law-abiding citizen. I mean, if there's anything, I want to fulfill my civic duties if I can. I would abide by any law. But the other half of me is being hurt by my conscience, knowing full well that what we're doing here is not going to do anything but just destroy lives, just to flatten the curve.
Yeah. It seems to me that we're being led by people who don't have the answer. And as we said before, it's guesswork for them as well, which is unfortunate. But you are right. They're now taking into consequence the major impact of the economic downturn that's going to be affect more people. And we've spoken about this previously as well. I don't know how to express it, but what do you do? Which way do we turn? Do we then go revolution, what we were speaking before? Do we continue the way we're going and just have fools run it?
I don't think we're at revolution yet, because based on what I've seen on social media and different places, there's still too many people think that crushing the economy right now is the right answer.
Yeah, I get that.
They still think, mate, they do. I begged on Facebook the other day just for them not to kill the economy until we knew it was the right thing to do when I shared our podcast, and someone jumped on straight away and said the government's trying to stop the extinction of an entire population, so give them a break. So all of a sudden we've gone from the government saying we're trying to flatten the curve, which we've all agreed wrong, to someone translating that into the whole population's about to die. Like there's still not enough. The revolution isn't going to happen because not enough people realise yet, which is very sad. Another couple of 100,000 people are going to have to lose their job before the inmates that are trying to run the asylum at the moment realise what in fact they're doing. And there was a brief moment of clarity last night in the PM's announcement, which led to a comical moment. When he said that shopping centres were closed, I've gone, thank God. Now you can't go to the pub and you can't go to Westfield. That is perfect. And obviously someone tipped him and said, no, mate, you can still go to the shopping centre. They finally made a common sense point. And then he had to cut off the medical minister to go, oh, no, sorry, I was wrong. You can still go to Westfield. I'm like, oh, you were so close to making one thing make sense.
I thought I was sharing some good news for you. You imagine this? The shopping center is closed. I mean, how could you survive self-isolation with Crystal at home 24/7, mate?
Oh, mate, I had the kids for 20 minutes this morning, mate, and there was a TV remote to one's head. There was someone pushed off a chair, and I've got one sneaky bottle of wine hidden somewhere in the house. It's the only drop of alcohol in the Wilson residence at the moment. So self-isolation is going to be a huge problem for the big fella.
Yeah.
and you know what? I didn't even think about, like, I was talking to someone about it today in the office. We can't underestimate that on a much lighter topic. Let's get off doom and gloom for 2 seconds. I don't see my family that often.
Yeah.
Like we see Sundays, but on a daily basis, I'm lucky to see the kids for an hour total. Yeah. I work with my wife, but because of the roles we're in, we're lucky to see each other for more than 2 hours total.
You're punished enough.
Like, I know we talked last time about the positives that come out of reconnecting with your family, but Jesus Christ, to go from 1 hour a day to 24, this is fucking, I'm all of it.
You've been also having an excuse that you didn't have time to exercise, so you'll have that time now, mate. So you can choose exercise with your family.
Yeah, but Chris, you haven't been self-isolated around his house. I mean, I was next door to him to Cameron for a while, and his wife was screaming so hard at the kids. At some stage, I started to tidy up my room.
I think it's more the other way. I feel sorry for Crystal being locked up with Cam.
No, I think, boys.
He can run in hiding, mate.
Yeah. Boys, here is the thing. I think we need to look at the facts first. So let's have a look at some of the facts before we discuss the stage 2 that they brought up. And you know the way they talk about stage 2? It's as if like, they're building something. What are really the facts of, what's the facts of COVID-19? Number 1, it's highly contagious. All right.
Yep.
Number 2, it's about 10 times more deadly than the common flu. Number 3, it spreads like the flu, whether it's airborne droplets getting to you or by touch, or especially when you rub your face afterwards. Number 4, the symptoms can be stealth. It means you can be asymptomatic. Number 5, the elderly people and people who have a weak immune or respiratory system are most at risk. We know those 5, right?
Yes.
So now let's have a look from those 5. Let's have a look at now, not only their stage 1, which we know, but let's have a look at now their stage 2. What are they doing now with stage 2?
Oh, it sounds like we should all get on a bus and hang out together.
The stage 2, no auction homes, no auctions, no public open home.
Yep.
Stage
No,
2, right?
no more than 5 people at a wedding and 10 people at a funeral.
At a funeral, yeah.
But can't go to the gym inside, but can have a group of 10 people sweating and pounding it out
Boot
outside.
Yep.
Can get your hair cut, can't get your nails done.
No massage parlours, straight bands.
By the way, you're wrong. We're wrong about a haircut. We don't need to be as confusing as the PM. About the haircut, you can, as long as you're in there for no more than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that's good for you, TL. But I know I'll take a little bit.
No. Jealousy is not very good.
Thomas has a haircut with a dustbuster.
But food courts are closed in massive air quotes, but you can still go to every eatery in a food court to get food at the same time as everybody else.
Here is how I saw stage 2. You can't have friends at your place. That's it.
Yep.
I mean, he talked a lot about that. You can't have a gathering at a barbecue unless it has a very restricted small number of people. What is small number of people?
Yeah,
right?
can I just point out that I fucking made that announcement before the Prime Minister. I was right. I should be Premier of New South Wales. I cancelled that barbecue 6 hours before he told me I couldn't do it.
So is small something like smaller than 18? Because we were 16 and you had to cancel it.
Yeah.
So what is small? Going to the funeral, which is a very special moment when you're saying goodbye to someone. And you're 10, mate. Even the most hated dude would have people feeling for him so badly that there'd be more than 10 people being there.
I reckon I was up for an increase, mate. I think that would be
So we have all of these numbers of people, but you can be 100 in a compartment on a train, or you can be sitting right next to someone in a bus, shoulder to shoulder. You tell me now, because I'm trying to understand this. What is it that he said? Denzel Washington in the movie Philadelphia, I think. Explain it to me like as if I'm a 4-year-old. Explain that to me. Huh? This distancing ourselves 1.5 meters, but let's stand against each other in the train. Explain it to me as if I was a 4-year-old.
Let's put there hundreds of thousands of people in dole queues, all crowding to get paid and being able to live.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to worry too much about 1.5 metres or worry about feeding a family?
So to me, boys, stage 2 is going to do this. Stage 2 is going to have even more people confused, more people having their dreams shattered, more young people who have just started work, who have left uni, being laid off, more people who are going to feel like life has been taken away from them. If you remove someone's dreams, isn't it a bit of life? I mean, how many 20-year-old or 25-year-old, 24-year-old who are going to be laid off from a job are going to go for the rest of their life, always remembering the first year of their life, this is what happened. I mean, so to me, stage 2 will accomplish one thing: more devastation for no result. Here is my conclusion for stage 2. More shit happen to people's life, virus will go up. Therefore, virus 2, people 0. Now you tell me which side the government's batting for.
It's not even a curve anymore, guys. It's a right angle. I looked at the map today. You've got me hooked on that bloody site. I'm serious. You look at the top of the line, it actually straightens to a point where pretty soon it's going to come back on itself. I don't know how it gets any straighter, but you're right, mate. There'll be another 100,000 people tomorrow crashing their government website because they can't fucking run it. And there'll be another 500 cases of fucking coronavirus.
I think we've got a lot of smart people And we know these people. We've got a lot of smart people now getting into this flurry of fear and starting to take silly actions because of the information they're getting as well.
But it's very easy to happen. I've had that many conversations again today with vendors and buyers and people getting ready to be vendors, trying to sort out all the misinformation. And who can blame them? And they're not stupid people. Like,
no, they're not.
Obviously, they hired me, so they must be fucking talented. But like some of the staff, and you can't blame them. So I've been more than happy to take these calls. And they started at 10:30 last night. I had a guy who I signed an agency agreement with yesterday call me at 10:30 last night and say, all real estate's doomed. We can't sell now. Thanks for your time. Now he rang me back and I'm like, you'll sleep on it, mate. We'll have a conversation tomorrow. I'm sure enough we had a conversation today and explain what was actually going on, and things are all back on. But no sooner than, I said 30 seconds earlier, but I'm prone to hyperbole. Less than a couple of minutes after that press conference finished last night, the Channel 9 political correspondent, while he's rattling off all the things that have changed in stage 2, which is really fuck all, threw in there, and he's closed down all real estate business. Threw it in there, and it stood out to me like absolute dog's balls because it would. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what the fuck are you saying, mate? They've literally just finished talking. They've said no auctions, no open homes, nothing else about real estate. Not a thing, not a mention, not a breath, not a word. And you, 2 minutes later, are rattling off, they've just closed real estate business. They were his exact words.
Right.
How the fuck wouldn't people, even smart people, get confused?
Worried. Yeah.
How are we supposed to... And then the fucking moron, while we're on the media, I'll have my bit about the media and then you can go if you like. The third reporter in, who asked the Prime Minister after he spent the first 5 minutes, they did exactly the same thing in the bushfires. He apologised for going to Hawaii, and then a bloke asked him if he was sorry for going to Hawaii. He spent the first 5 minutes saying how much, and Thomas mentioned it earlier, we feel for Australians and we understand we've hurt from you. And the third question, when you've got very limited time, is, so are you sorry for hurting Australians? How the fuck aren't we supposed to be mental as a society when they're the dickheads feeding us our information?
So you're talking about the media 19 virus? Is that what you're talking about, man?
Oh, yeah.
So are we fighting two viruses now? Is it the COVID-19 and the media 19?
Oh, mate. It's a huge fight. If you can't let a press conference finish for longer than 2 minutes before you fuck up the information that came out of it, you should be fucking shot.
Yep.
My kids are homeschooling at the moment. I'm not that fucking intelligent. They wouldn't have fucked that up.
Yep.
The whole fucking nation is holding their breath. Crystal and I had a moment last night again when we were listening, waiting for this, and we were holding hands because we're like, this could be it. This might be the time. It wasn't. So we're like, fuck, righto, we've had enough of feeling like this. We're just moving forward. And 2 minutes later, the reporter comes on and says, it just closed all real estate business.
Yeah.
Are you fucking shitting me? And if I hadn't watched the whole speech and actually listened to the whole speech and just caught that snippet, I would have been on the phone to me cancelling my own sale as well. Because,
Chris, we got him wind up. We got him wind up now. Let's go.
I'm not going to yell and scream. I'm not. But it's criminal behaviour again. It's negligent behaviour. You're political correspondent. You are fucking stage 2, mate. Number 2 means shit. Every time I go and do a number 2, it doesn't look real good on the toilet paper that I've stolen from fucking Audi. You are it. If you're a fucking journalist at the moment, you are stage 2. You're a number 2. You're a piece of shit. Pull your fucking head in.
I think through that press conference that Como did last night, he actually started to pull in the media a little bit during that press release when they were using language like a petri dish. I think one of the reporters were talking about the kids at school, and he used the word petri dish of disease or something. And Scott Morrison jumped on that, which I thought was very good of him to say to the media, you know what, pull your heads in. The world's scared enough as it is. There's no use you guys adding to it by the words that you're using in press conferences and when you're releasing it to the public. So I thought that was very good. I thought that was good.
Yeah, it was super effective because 2 minutes later, a bloke says, well, they've just shut all the fucking real estate down.
Yeah, but you have to also understand this, boys. You have to understand this about the media, right? They are there to fight for their ratings.
Yeah.
And Netflix and a lot of other shows. Right now, they're beating Netflix because there's more and more people watching them every night. And people, if they continue to do such a good job, looks likely that people are going to start cancelling Netflix and Amazon. They're going to be more mesmerized by the fear being spread by the media. Listen, you tell me in the 24 hours in a day, what they talk about? They talk about, is it right to open the school or is the school closed? Is there any confusion for parents? Mate, they said it more than enough. You don't have to put your kids in there, but the school has to be open for people who are working hard to save you, like the nurses who can't really be home at the same time as trying to save your life. They say these things, and then all day long, they go on to counting the cases. It's like every single time they have an increase of one, it's like it's brand new news. And what they're not realizing is that they're spreading fears for rating. Because the more fears that they get, the more we will turn on the television just to listen to them or to watch them, all right? And so
it's a genius business ploy, because soon everyone's going to be fucking home because they're going to be unemployed and no one's going to have anything to do but to watch those fucking imbeciles. Mate, whoever's in the marketing, whoever's in the business development program for TV stations at the moment, well done. I sat there and watched The Sopranos all night last night. Good show. Fuck you, pal.
Yeah, don't lie to me, man. From the information you've been telling me, you've been watching not only whatever the Prime Minister said, but you watch even further afterwards, man.
No, I switched off after the. As soon as I heard that they just shut down all the real estate business comments, I turned off and went straight to messaging my vendors, making sure I got in front of it and everyone was cool, calm and collected and let them know I had a plan. And then I turned on The Sopranos. Now, because of what I'd heard earlier, I was up till 3 a.m. watching The Sopranos.
I think this is why the media is in the front row to do a lot of stuff. Did you notice how for weeks we never heard much about children? Did you notice how over the last 2 days they started to show people who are in their 30s getting sick? And today they started to show stuff about children getting sick? Yeah. Are you saying to me that those young children are only starting to be sick now? They only actually activating their sickness today? Man.
No, they've got to stage it, mate. They waited for us to get bored about the elderly.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's losing its impact now about the elderly. So it's good. We've got many different demographics of the population. If we just go nuts on them one at a time, we've got a few weeks out of this, I reckon. Yeah. And I can't be any stronger than saying you look like something I've just wiped my ass with. But boys, I've got the television going on right in front of me right now. And you've got the Victorian Premier. Actually, the Victorian Premier and New South Wales Premier were racing for, for our vote, for our, what is it, they were trying to win the popularity contest. They're in a huge pissing competition.
Yeah.
I hope Gladys has got a she week.
No, Gladys has now already shown that she's only a leader for good times. She's not really a leader for crisis. Did you see how fast she always just pushed the microphone next to sideways to the her offside? But the Victorian minister now, premier now, is he's now taking the microphone and just letting us know that stage 3 is coming. So he's now beaten the Prime Minister. He has now come to the front, publicly telling everyone stage 3 is there. So whenever we're going to hear it from the Prime Minister, it's going to be all news.
Well, he's already said the Prime Minister came out earlier and said that he's not going to make an announcement tonight. He's going to have to now. That's a fucking another power play by the Premier.
They're forcing each other's hands. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. That's really stupid.
You know what I'm going to do, mate? You know what I think I'm going to do? I might have someone else watch it for me and tell me what the announcement is, because I'm not going to put myself through it again. There's a bit of, you kind of have to watch, given the position that we're in and knowing that I'm going to get phone calls and text messages if it affects our industry. You kind of have to know what's going on. But this shit's already going old on me, man. I've been in the best fucking mood today because you know what? Life's just a roller coaster, baby. We can't change anything that's happening. We can sit on here and call people dickheads till the cows come home. Eventually that's going to wear thin on people as well. Yeah. So, you know, what are we going to do about it? What? We need to keep fighting a good fight. I'm more worried now about people's mental state. I'm more worried now about... Yeah,
you're a selfish prick. So stop it. All right. Now, here's my take, because I'm worried about all this, and this is why I say that's a fight in my conscience between being a law-abiding citizen and someone who's got a brain and can think about certain things with common sense. Now, I've told you about the 5 points of common sense earlier. Now, they're talking to you about self-isolation. And every single time you hear them going on television, they're going, we really recommend you. Now, hey, by the way, they actually now activating what we spoke about on our first one. Now they're going to have the police enforcing some of these rules. Do you know why? Because self-isolation does not work. The people are not built to self-isolate. People are built to communicate with each other. You know, go and tell the young kids who are 25, 26, or in their 20s to now go through self-isolation for 8 months. They're going to shoot themselves, mate. They're not built for that. And we are not built at all. It's very hard. I mean, go and tell people who have traveled, who are coming home, they're so excited to see loved ones, right? To go for 14 days of self-isolation. Come on, do that. So this is the problem. This is the problem. They're asking doctors to come up with recommendation about social issues, social behavior. Maybe they should have gone to social behavior specialist to see how it happens. And let me tell you, from a guy who's got no idea about social behavior studies, but who can use common sense, none of us respect the rules of self-isolation. None of us will go willingly into a jail cell and sit there for 14 days, right? Many of us will sit there, and after 10 days, maybe because we've been very disciplined, after 10 days, we probably going to look at ourselves and say, I don't even feel sick. I've got no problem, because we totally forget that we 86% asymptomatic. So we sit there, we think to ourselves, I show no symptoms. Let's go out there. I'm just going to go shopping, and I just need a bit of air. And here we go. Here's a live grenade walking to a shopping. You see it?
I just had an idea. If Mr. Andrews wants to go and do his own thing, we need a control, right? We need a control experiment. The thing is that everyone's trying the same shit and it's not working, right? All the countries are trying the same stuff. None of it's working. So we've got, I'm going to get yelled at here because I failed geography or whatever it is. How many states have we got? 6, 5 states and a couple of territories. Why don't we let Mr. Andrews enforce stage 3? Why don't we let a couple of states do it and a couple of states not do it, and see how the fucking spike goes in coronavirus? Then we might know.
I don't think the problem is they don't even know what stage 3 is yet.
No,
I think they're still guessing themselves.
Why doesn't one half the country?
No, you know what stage 3 is.
One half the country do nothing.
I know. Hey, Chris, you and I, we know what stage 3 is. All right, stage 3 is simple.
No longer get a haircut.
Stage 3 is very simple, Chris. It's more annihilation of our economy. That's stage 3.
Well, that's without a doubt. But does it look like a total lockdown? Is it a shutdown? What is it? I thought step 2. I thought stage 2 would be a shutdown.
Yeah, well, that's where you guys were wrong. I told you guys it's not. All right, but even 3 is not lockdown. I'm telling you, even 3 is not a lockdown. And here where I reckon I'm going to go way further. All right, lockdown is going to do shit. This is my prediction. Lockdown will do shit. Here is why I believe lockdown will do shit. Based on those 5 things. So lockdown for what? Let's say some countries are now saying that they're going to do it for 3 weeks. I think India just said it this morning. So in 3 weeks, let's imagine and all these guys respect lockdown. All right? Which we already know it's not possible. In Syria this morning, they have arrested people. In Syria, you get arrested for stuff, man. You don't pay a fine. You go to jail, right? So even though they are facing the prospect of jail, these people have been just pushed by their human needs to just go out there and find another connection. Imagine that everyone really respect lockdown. So what happens in 3 weeks? Well, in 3 weeks, there's no more cases. Maybe 4 weeks, all right? So now they say, all right, no problem. But they keep on shooting at us with live grenades from the planes they bring in from overseas. What do you think, common sense, come on boys, this is a common sense question. What do you think happens to us? Let's imagine that we're pure. We've got not one single case in Sydney. But then the cruise liner bring in 2,500 live grenades, and the planes are bringing in thousands every day. What happens to us again?
someone meets Inga from Sweden on Tinder, who's in Sydney for one night,
Yeah.
and we're all fucking...
You can't be serious for 1 second, man. It was a serious question I had, man.
Inga from Sweden on Tinder, mate.
Okay, Ingrid from Sweden. Then, yeah, okay, that was a serious response. That's good. All right. So, beside that, come on, tell me what happens to our...
My point.
Yeah. So therefore, their lockdown is useless.
Someone gets off a boat, meets someone for a drink, game over. We're back to where we were.
Yes, there's only one thing that is not useless. There's only one thing that's not useless. So because we're back at zero, it will take a few weeks before we get there. And they're gonna do this kind of thing as often as it's required until we get the vaccine. See? That's why I believe that damaging our economy, killing what people have dreamed for, worked hard for, go to university for, because we have a death is a problem. Because I don't mind you do this. If at the end of my lockdown, you fix me. If I went to the doctor and I asked the doctor for a remedy and he says, listen, sorry, Thomas, we're going to have to cut your ear off because the infection has eaten through your ears. I know what I will look like with one ear. It's not good. But how would I feel? How would I feel when I look at myself in the mirror afterwards, after the operation? I've got one ear left, and within 2 weeks, the same shit just come back into my life. Nothing happened. How do I feel?
Yeah. Is it not? I'll get to go down a different path. We'll leave that for another chat. But
no, but you can't say shit like this and then you don't say it.
Well, I just had a thought that isn't it the same as we tell people chemo? Well, actually, no, we don't. We tell people chemotherapy might fix their cancer, but we'll do it anyway. And then a lot of people have relapses. I was just going off on a different tangent. Don't worry about me.
Yeah. Hey, did you see it, boys? When we were talking about them punishing these bastards that was trying to profiteer from our problems right now. And those yesterday he said it. Did you hear it? That people now who have bought so much of our sanitizer and toilet paper and everything, and they actually are sending it overseas. And I think they were saying Middle East and Asia.
It'll be stopped at the border. He said.
No, mate. They have stopped them. They got them. They should have put their face on TV.
Yeah.
They should have named the entire family. Yeah. We should have really known. Yeah. I know it's pretty radical, but that's what needs to be stopped. So that if I have to go to Woolies because after work, that's the only time I have to go and find some toilet paper, I don't see empty shelves. Well, let's do it. I mean, those guys. Do you know what they're gonna have in their journal? Those bastards. In 2040, right? Their grandson's gonna say, "I use the last piece of toilet paper that Grandpa stole in 2020." It's wrong. This is so wrong. But we're going to destroy more lives. And this is a funny thing because Netflix says the episode 3 is coming up. And I'm trying to tell people, episode 3 is the same as episode 2 and 1. They're going to savage more lives. And you know what they're going to say? We are sorry. Let's start with maybe shutting down the right department first. Maybe let's start by shutting down the state government. Let's shut them down so that we can let the federal government do the right job. So that we don't have two kind of news in one single country. So that we don't have a premier of Victoria trying to steal the limelight by saying some shit a few hours before the prime minister. You know? And then afterwards, let's shut down the media. Because, mate, there's enough studies out there that says, let's not go through life with fears. Whenever you have fear, you secrete hormones that are going to really damage your body, right? That if you can have moments of happiness and feel good, you actually create good hormones. You don't have to create cortisol. But then they allow more and more media to just create fears in us. Doesn't make sense. That's no common sense.
I said that to you guys the other day. You wish we're not in the position of other countries where the government controls the media, and for the most part, that's probably a good thing. However, in times like this, I wish the fucking government controlled the media, the federal government, because at least we'd get a consistent message. And I've harped on many different subjects about shutting down the media, and you guys kept telling me it'll never happen, and you're fucking dreaming.
It still will.
I don't know.
I still believe it won't happen, Cam.
Yeah, it probably won't, mate, but there's got to be more there's lots of things that probably won't happen, and as long as everyone's got that mindset, they definitely won't. How about a few of us getting a mindset of maybe, possibly, let's hold out a little hope.
No, it won't happen.
And
It won't happen. If Donald Trump can't shut down, right, there's no one over here with enough balls to shut it down. They can't. It's not possible.
yeah, but at least he comes out and says, shut up.
No. Do you know what it take? It would take the public to switch the TV off. Then they will start changing. Because there's only one thing that they did not listen to us from our first podcast on the coronavirus. They still not showing people how to sanitize their hands properly every day. Because not everyone goes onto the YouTube or whatever it is. The elderly can't see it. Yeah. So they still not educating those shops out there doing takeaway onto how to sanitize themselves properly and how to really pack up some food for people. There's still nothing to show you that when you come home, what's the best way of cleaning your shoes or your hands? What's the best thing? I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine again today about the need for him to stay away from his father-in-law, who is 90. You look at people and you think, yeah, well, there should be enough information. They should know that. And, there's no one really understanding that the illness will hit the elderly. And so let's have a look at maybe how we would respond if we were lucky. Let's dream for a second. Let's imagine now that they ask the three of us to come up with a fix. What will be a fix? Because it's one thing for us to criticize them, but it's no point criticizing people if you don't have an answer, right?
I just came up with a
fix. Shit, boys, I thought I was alone for a second.
Oh, no. I just came up with a fix. We need to go back to the old school way. I wasn't around then, but didn't there used to be service station attendants who would come out and fill your car up for you?
Yeah.
What if the same person filled up every car and people didn't have to worry about touching the... I had a conversation with one of our mate Abdullah earlier, and I had to laugh, and I'm still laughing at the picture in my head because he said, I'm too scared to put petrol in the car. But he also said at the same time, storm had just come over and he was doing 50 kilometres on the freeway because it was basically a cyclone. So here I am just thinking of our mate Abdullah, who's too scared to put petrol in his car, stuck in a cyclone on the freeway, about to run out of fuel, and it made me giggle because I love him so much. But there's a fix. Have one person fill every car up, or two people fill every car up. There's a fix.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Elimination of cash. Elimination of cash.
Okay, elimination of cash. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because who disinfects their money? Seriously, you get change, you put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
Use credit cards, and tap and go only.
Yeah. One of the things that I think, my in-laws, they're already isolated. None of us actually see them for the moment. They are not, we actually offered them, my wife has offered them the opportunity to come and see us around Easter. Yep. But she's also warned them, these are the things that could happen. And so that gave my in-laws the freedom to decide, no, all right, looks like we're going to have to keep it. It's best for us. So there's a need to self-isolate our elderly and the people who really are susceptible to getting this and succumb to this virus. So why don't we just isolate them? And they isolated anyway. So why don't we isolate them and let all of us just get the freaking virus and get on with life? Because this economy after this virus, I don't think it's going to revive, mate. The way that we're doing it, we freaking not sending it into a coma. We're killing it. There's no revival after this shit.
Yeah.
What about this, MCL? We recently started a house for a 90-year-old man whose wife had passed away. And he settled in 2.5 weeks and still hasn't found a place to buy. So he's going around looking at houses. How is that problem solved? He's 90. He's fit as a fiddle. He would run rings around you and I. Billy, he's a great man. But how does someone a 90-year-old who sold their house 4 weeks ago, get out of the house in 2.5 weeks if they're isolated?
Well, maybe it's not possible, but at least what if there's so many hotels? I'm not talking about the hotels that's got 80 stories because maybe it's not good for this gentleman of yours. But what about some of those 2 or 3 level stories where he can really be there for a while, where we will be looking after them very seriously because they're in their 70s, 80s, and 90s and require a lot more attention than us, and they isolate, and food is being given in a certain way, not by a dude who is contaminating the box when he is putting the food into the box, when the Uber is grabbing it with his hand, and then he's touching another motorbike, then another colleague of his has been driving to drive contaminated food to your door. So what about having something that is so controlled just for them? And let the rest of us just get the freaking out of this COVID-19. I welcome it. And then afterwards, we can just keep on continuing with what we do. Because I don't know, man. I don't know how I can sit down with a guy who's just lost his restaurant, who's put so many years of hard work into it. I don't know how to sit down and revive this thing.
Yeah.
How do you revive him in 6 months?
No, and that's looming, you know. I went and got a coffee yesterday from a cafe in Barara, and the owner of that business is also
Mario.
the chef there, and he had two casual co-hosts.
Is it Mario?
You caught me out because I don't actually know his name.
Right.
I talk to him a lot, but I haven't actually introduced. We've got on a first name basis, but he had two casual staff there, and he was busy cooking. So first I asked the casual staff, "How you guys holding up?" And they're like, "Oh, you know, we don't know."
Yeah.
And then I just looked at him, mate. When he brought over my coffee, he looked up and the sadness in his eyes, and I just, you know, that's where I was going before, where I'm over this up and down and what's going to happen and what's not going to happen now. I'm just worried about people because we saw it, you and I saw it when we went for a walk that day. We saw the look in the restaurant owner's eyes. I saw it in this cafe owner's eyes. They've only been open for 6 months.
Yeah, which reminds me, mate, of that movie. I think what's the movie? Scent of a Woman. I don't know whether you remember the line when Al Pacino at the end he's standing in front of the school and he's talking about the things, and he said, "I've seen a lot of things in life." I'm paraphrasing. I'm trying to remember, and he says, "I've seen a lot of things. You know, amputated soldiers with no leg, and soldiers who just lost an arm. But there is nothing like a sight of an amputated spirit." And I think that what we're doing right now, the government is really amputating our spirit, the spirit of our people. And you know what? We're a bunch of idiots because we are sitting there waiting like animals at a slaughterhouse. We're seeing other people getting it. And you know what we're doing? We're discussing between the three of us. None of us has got the guts to get up there and maybe, I don't know, man, run on the lawn of, I don't know, maybe we shouldn't run on the lawn because they shoot us. But really, what do we do to make sure we are not in that group heading towards a slaughter?
Well, let's fucking put me and Keenies on and get down to Parliament House, mate. I'm with you. If you're willing to put one on,
no, maybe I'll run with you because they shoot you first. You're a bigger target.
Yeah, that's all right, mate. I'll run faster than you, so you're fast.
You don't have to. The problem is looking at.
I'm happy to rise up. I don't know whether it's good for business or not, but every video I put on social media at the moment that's to do with my business also has a message to the government. And I'm done caring now whether that's politically correct to say that, or you know whether you should be going down that path, you know, with your business as the emblem. But I'm fucking happy to, mate, because all this political correctness and people not speaking out has led us to exactly where we are now. So. But we need more people to get in that mindset. We've got fight or flight, right? It's the most basic human response. Theo, you know much more about the human psyche than I will ever know, but I know about fight or flight. And we've got two options right this second. We can fight like fucking hell, or we can be the lambs to the slaughter. I, for one, aren't going to go down quietly. It doesn't really bother me whether anyone's with me or not. I'd like more people to join and let's speak, because someone will hear us at some point. And I don't care if it is a Mancuni rolling down Parliament House Hill. I've actually done somersaults down that hill before. I'll do it again. But I don't know what everyone... It's the initial shock. The initial shock is paralysing people.
Yeah.
You know, we couldn't feel... We had that conversation with that restaurant owner at that Italian place in the business park, and he was paralysed by the shock of what was going on. Yeah. And after the shock and sadness is going to come anger. And, you know, we said before, the government is very careful because there's a lot of anger building up at the moment. So there's initial shock, there's initial sadness, and then the fight or flight response will kick in, and half the population is going to go for fight. And if half the population goes to fight the way they're going and they keep pissing more people off on a daily basis, I'm hoping and dreaming of an uprising and the people actually standing up for themselves. I think it'd be brilliant. Yeah, we had an armed robbery yesterday over fucking toilet paper. An armed robbery. We're at a shopping centre in Western Sydney. So that's where we've gotten to by not that's where we've gotten to by not standing up for ourselves and not speaking up, electing morons, electing the literates and the fucking highly educated. We're listening to doctors on social matters when they got to be a doctor because they had no friends at school and had all the time in the world to study. They've got no social skills whatsoever, and we're letting them dictate how society functions.
Yeah.
Brilliant. We need you. We love you. You save lives. It's not a thing against doctors, but why are they forming our fucking social policy? And it's okay to say it. If ever there was a time it was okay to say it, now is the time. Now is the time because we're all about to be fucked.
One thing for sure is that we're dealing with human nature. But, like guys like you're aggressive in your point of view, but you're a nice guy. You got a good heart. But there's a lot of people who are anxious out there. That's their nature. And so those anxious people are the people who will always see the worst in everything. They're the ones who will be calling you and telling you, mate, that we're going to be in lockdown even before stage 1 happens, So the reason those anxious people do this is two things. If it happens, they're genius.
They're wrong.
Right? But if it doesn't happen, well, they were ready for the worst anyway. And so whichever outcome they win, and that's how anxious people live with themselves in the decision-making process. Then, especially in every society, they're all there, but especially the selfish people, they are about what's in it for themselves. And if it means, let's only imagine that there are people out there, they're employees who don't work in a restaurant and who hate people who are rich. Well, mate, they are rejoicing out there. They want to see people getting poor and having their dreams shattered. So that's why, there's every kind of thoughts out there for every people. There's people out there who are jealous. So because they're jealous, they can't wait for more restriction. Those people, mate, they have already prepared the popcorn and the Coke waiting for stage 3 on Netflix. Then there's the envious people. The envious people, well, they probably like sitting on the other side of the popcorn, waiting for that too. And this is why we have all these things that happens. I mean, doctors, all they want is to see a lockdown because for a doctor, reduction to 0 is what they want. And for business people, well, they're going to look at things like us. They're going to go, hold on, what's the economy going to be doing afterwards? Are we really going to put Australia in a state of a coma? I mean, seriously, when you say shit like this, it means to me you don't know shit about a state of a business. Because I've only seen 2 things in business. You either do well or you go broke. I haven't seen coma. And then there's the media whose job is to try and get the ratings, just like the people on social media whose job is to try to get the likes. So you have all of these kind of people trying to fight for their own points. And this is why it makes it very difficult for people to have a unified opinion about what's the best way to handle this. And it's about the government to do this. This coronavirus now is something that is so big that they have to come up with social restrictions. Wouldn't that freaking make sense to ask people who are social specialists to sit down and share their point of view with them?
Yeah. We're lucky enough, Theo, for yourself, that we are aware of the hidden players and we just rattle them all off the things that drive our behaviour under stress. For people who want to speak up more and be less politically correct and say, no, this is wrong, they wouldn't understand that they've got these hidden players stopping them from doing that. What's one thing that someone who's sitting there going, fuck, I'd love to do something right now, but I just can't bring myself to do it and doesn't understand why that is? What's one thing you could tell them that might allow them for just a second to pull the shutters up and stand up for themselves a bit?
It depends. Are they behaving that way because they're selfish? Or
depends on the hidden players. Let's go anxiety. So let's go. We know that you can quote the percentage now because I've forgotten it, but we know that the vast majority of people have anxiety as one of their biggest hidden players. Yeah. So if they have, for example, anxiety, well, what you need to be looking at is beyond the anxiety. You have to look. All right, do they have children? And then really, you're gonna have to really ask. I mean, are they willing to face their fears in order to make sure that their children have got a better future? What's going on, man? There's a bit of an echo there. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, one of us. Who's that?
I bet you it's Dinola.
Must be Dinola, yeah. I've lost Dinola. Can you hear him?
I can hear you guys.
Oh, okay. No, he's there. He's there. Stop talking about him, Cam.
Keep talking.
Sorry.
So you have to give, listen, every one of these people who've got their own, if you will, negative side, if you give them something that is bigger and in terms of positive, something that they look forward to replace, to counter that negative pull, they will do it, right? And so
the drive to not stand on the selling line isn't big enough at the moment, obviously, because we're all just following like sheep through the gate. They're just herding us into the they're herding us into the pen.
I think that is the problem that we have right now in Australia, is that we are nothing else but a herd of animals heading for the slaughter. We just having a bit of a whinge, we just having a bit of a talk to defend our own position, but in the end we still will go towards stage 3 and 4 and we do nothing, and me included. I am a very law abiding kind of guy, but there will be a stage when the law abiding will no longer be able to reason with the revolutionary mind that I have. And then at that point in time, then, well, the government will have something else than a bad virus to deal with.
You and I, and you more so than me, we've got enough foresight to know that what killing the economy is roughly going to look like. Mate, that's where I run out of ideas. I know what it's probably going to look like. I know it's fucking horrible. I'm happy to do more than just sit here and talk about it. What can we do? Like you called us out twice in a short period of time there, saying, including us, we're doing nothing about it. We're being herded, even though we're on this podcast speaking about it. That's not going to fucking accomplish anything. So let's go. What do we do?
Well, let's use this social media medium that we're using and spread it out. Because if more people are starting to share our ideas and starting to lock onto the common sense principle that we go on, and I have no problem. You know, I learned a long time ago when someone said, if your idea sounds good, it has to be able to withstand the onslaught of other people's reasoning or logic. I have no problem if other people's logic beats ours, because if it beats ours, then I will embrace their logic. But right now, I think if we're saying that we have to try and get Australia out of this virus situation better, I don't see us doing this. I see us, for the moment, burning our house down so that the virus doesn't get to it.
Doesn't burn it down,
Yeah.
And I think that for me, it's...
I've tried to very, probably without this long form, I hope one day they'll listen to the podcast. I've tried to explain to people that there won't be, this isn't going to end until we have a vaccine. They just don't. It doesn't even get acknowledged. It cannot compute in people's heads, because I'm not fucking Carl Stefanovic. I'm not, the fear receptors are well and truly in front of the logic receptors, and I just don't know how that changes. But I've said a couple of times.
Are you holding your microphone next to you, man? Because I'm losing you, man. Or you must be drinking or eating or something. Yeah. Oh, you've been so late. You've been so lazy. You just put it on your belly.
No, it's not funny, but I keep. You know what happens, mate? I keep looking up into space, dreaming of a better time. That's what happens.
Oh, shit. Nah. I could hear it, but by the way the sound was going off, I'm thinking it's on his belly. Soon we will hear the stomach. We will hear the stomach screaming, "Corona, Corona, Corona beer." Shit, boys. I don't know where we're heading, but for the moment, we are just 3 animals heading for slaughter.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. The helicopters around us, they're hurting us in.
But there's good news. There's a good news. Until stage 5, there's always a way out. So I think we're going to have to ramp up, and maybe the friends who are listening to us should start sharing this with their friends and maybe have a look. And this is what I defy. I defy people to come up and destroy our logic. I defy them, right? Because if their logic's better, shit, I'll go with them and I'll join them in the slaughter. But right now, I don't see it. All right, and I see now the need for us to stand up and stop this pain. Stop this pain. Yeah. All right?
Yeah, the same anxieties that are stopping them standing up for themselves are the same anxieties that stop them sharing this podcast, mate. I'll call people out. You won't share it because you're worried people might not agree with what we're saying.
Yeah.
But, you know,
I think the same thing.
We're all headed down the fucking toilet. We're all headed down the fucking toilet, so you can go down the toilet having a voice, or you can go down the toilet scared of what people might think. But you know we're right because no one's been able to come to us yet and say you're wrong. Share the bloody thing and maybe we can get a few more people on board and that'll calm your anxiety down. I haven't had anyone come to me yet and say I'm a stark raving lunatic, but I've had plenty of people want to sit there and be quiet and watch their businesses go down the toilet, watch them lose their homes, watch themselves sit there and self-pity rather than dare to be public about agreeing with a couple of blokes who are just trying to come up with a solution instead of a fucking problem.
Yep. That's nice.
Bro. Come on.
That's nice.
I think the fear of going back to what was before, the fear of the media is pushing those people into selfishness and looking to themselves, not looking outside of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but themselves are ending up in the same slaughterhouse next to us, mate.
Mate, I know that, but you know, it's not the old, you know, women and children first analogy, is it? It's, you know, everyone for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. People need to stop pitching that.
You can go to work or you can not go to work. There's a very good chance why the government's going, we're all going to end up standing in Centrelink next to each other. But some of us will have our fucking head up high and some of us will be staring straight down at the ground because they know they should have done more.
That's great stuff, boys. Great stuff. Oh, well, listen, boys, the sound is not as good as when we're having a drink, the three of us. So we might have a look at going back there. But I have to say the content of this one is very, very good. We're doing well there, boys, because at least we've got the courage. Even though we all have a business, we all work. Yes, this could damage our reputation with some of the people, the envious, the jealous, the people who will be trying to bring us down. But I think that they should not bring us down because they have an opinion. They should bring us down after they've listened to this and made a decision to come up and really show us a better logic than what we have. Because we will be the first three to embrace their logic, right? Until then, boys, thank you very much. We talk soon.
Thanks, boys.
Boys.
See you, mate.
Thanks,
See you guys.